Hello everybody. I thought I would do, since we're all at home, well, okay, some of us are working really hard at home and some of us maybe have more time than they usually do to watch Flosstube, that I would make my Maynia video. So these are my plans for Maynia 2020, but I thought I'd also give you a report on what happened with the pieces from Maynia 2019. Stitch Maynia is just an idea that took off in the cross stitch world where you started a whole bunch of new things in May. It started in 2015. There is a Facebook group called Stitch Maynia, M-A-Y-N-I-A, because it happens in May. Everyone does it a little bit differently. It doesn't matter how you do it. It's just something fun for you to do in May that has something to do with something fun. It doesn't even have to be new starts. Some people do monogamania, where they just work on one piece really hard all through May and try and get a lot of progress or maybe finish it. Some people do whip mania, where they plan out a whole bunch of whips they want to work on each day. But most, I would think, more than half of the people, it somehow involves new starts in May. I participated for the first time in 2018 and have really enjoyed it. It was so much fun. And for some reason, I'm a deadline person, so you give me a deadline and I will get it done by the deadline. That's a motivation for me. So when I start things for Maynia, I try really hard to get everything done by the next Maynia, so it has worked really well for me. I like getting everything kitted up at once, get it all ready to go, everything, because it's fun to start a new project, but sometimes it's not so fun. It's a little bit of work to gather everything, figure out what color you're going to use, what fabric to put it on. You need to source all this stuff. So I have enjoyed getting it all done in April because I'm so excited for Maynia in May. It gives me a good reason to get all of that work done. Then everything gets started in May, so I can find out whether that fabric's going to work or whether this floss is going to look okay on this color. And then they're all ready to go throughout the rest of the year for me to just grab that project and work on it. So it works well for me. But please don't feel guilty if you don't do Maynia or it's just not something that appeals to you. So 2018, was the very first time I did it, and for some reason I decided I wanted to do include 5 whips that were languishing, and then I did the rest as new starts. So when I started 2019, I only had 2 pieces left from 2018 that were not finished. One was a Stitcher shelf, Heaven and Earth Designs. Which you have seen many times, and it will be a part of Maynia for the rest of my life, because it's going to take me quite a while to finish it. It looks like this. I have the version that does not have the medallion in the middle. I am doing the regular version with 87 colors. I try and do 2 squares. I'm doing it in 10 by 10 squares, and I try and do 2 squares every Saturday. So I'm over here to this big window. Next, I'll be doing one of the hot air balloons that's in the window. I'm excited about that. And then over just a little bit is a lady sitting, stitching next to this window with a little cat in front of her. And I'm excited to get to her to see what a person looks like, how pixelated the person is, but I'm really close to a page finish, and I think I'll finish the page before I get to her. And I'd really like to move downwards for the next page so that I can get this. The top row is spring, the second row is summer. And it's all greens, and I would love to get down to some of those greens. So I can't decide whether to keep going this way. I really think I'm going to end up doing the next page below so that I can get to it'll be the rest of the spring shelf, and then it will start the summer shelf down here in the beautiful green. So I think that's what I'll do. So I may not get to this lady for a couple of years, but that's where that is. So that will continue to be one of my Maynia 2020 projects because it is not finished yet. And as I said, will probably be a Maynia piece for the next 20 years. And then the only other one I didn't finish from Maynia 2018 was the Dimensions kit, Victorian Charm. it was a new start in 2018 as a Maynia new start. And I did finish it in the summer, I think, this year. So it is a finish now and doesn't need to be on the Maynia list anymore. It was a Dimensions kit. I used the kit fabric and the kit floss, and I'm just so thrilled with how it turned out. It was fun to work on. I enjoyed all of it. It was a great piece. So that one is now, it was also one of my Maynia 2019 pieces, but it is now finished. So it was in 2018 and 2019, and now it is finished. So those were the only two that were left from 2018. So when I started 2019, I had those two as whips, and then I chose 3 more whips that were languishing that I wanted to be part of the 2019 Maynia. There was Twisted Band Sampler, which I had been working on for several years. And I did finish that this summer as well. It's by Northern Expressions. And I think, if I remember right, it'll be in the description box below, but I think it was 32 count white even weave that I did it on. No, actually it's not even weave, it's linen. I think it's 32 count linen. I did the version that has the specialty stitches in it. Twisted Band Sampler by Northern Expressions. And I had been working on it for several years, so I was very excited to get that done. I like including whips in my Maynia plans because it really motivates me to finish them so that they can be off the list for the next year's Maynia, so that I have more room for other things, other whips or new starts. It was the called for Avera Soie silks on this one. 1 strand of silk over 2 threads when it was cross stitch, but a lot of it is specialty stitches. And then I also included the Shepherd's Fold whip. It is a group of smalls this is a box top for a shaker style box, and then the rest were smalls that go inside the box. And I finished the stitching, but have not made it into a box yet. So here's the scissor fob, here's the needle roll, here is the pincushion, here is the box top, the needle book, and the ruler holder. So I finished that this year. And then my other whip to make 5 was French Birdhouses. Well, okay, I call it French Birdhouses. It was, oh, I haven't thought about it for a while. It's French. Oh. Nope. I could remember it when I was showing it to you all the time. It's by Maynia Finishes I. Wow. It's French and it basically means houses and birdhouses. But wow, do you think I can think of that right now? Here it is. It's an out of print chart by Maynia Finishes I. Maisons et, can't remember. I did it on 40 count pear fabric with the called for Gentle Arts threads, 1/2. And was so happy. This has also been languishing for several years, so I was very happy to get a finish on that. It was just a lot of fun to work on as well. Was easy, not a lot of thinking because it's large blocks of solid, of one color. You know, it's variegated thread, but it's large blocks of one color. Wow, I cannot remember that other word. Oh well. So those were the whips I included in 2019, and that I finished, which I finished all of them except for a stitching shelf. And then I had 14 new starts as part of Maynia. So I'll start with the ones I finished. There was the January calendar card, which I'll be adding to my SamSarah Fun Everyday Perpetual Calendar. This was not part of the patterns that came with that. I just wanted to add the original pattern set. It's 12 leaflets called Fun Every Day by SamSarah. It's a perpetual calendar. You've seen it before. I show it a lot. The original leaflets, there's a space on the perpetual calendar for a holiday spot that might be during that month. And there weren't, of the original set of 48 cards. Is that right? 4? Yeah, I think there's 4 in each leaflet. There wasn't a holiday for every month. They had a few, and then a few weather cards, and I realized I didn't have one for January and I didn't have one for March. So for part of my Maynia plans, I adapted, these are Bent Creek winter arches and Bent Creek spring arches. I adapted a part of those patterns and made them into a card that would match the calendar. I put the same border and this orange stripe that are on all the calendar cards, and then adapted the inside to make it fit. So finished both of those. So excited. I need to just glue them to the cardstock cards and then put them on my perpetual calendar. So that was 2. I did, this is Red Door by Elizabeth's Designs. I think I'm going to make it into a little pillow. I changed out several of the colors, mostly using overdyed cotton that I had in my stash. And it comes with the charm by Elizabeth's Designs, Red Door. So I finished that one. That was a gift from my brother Walter and his wife Juliana. They gave me the pattern one year for my birthday, I think it was. This is Back to the Future by Witchy Stitcher. It's a PDF download from her Etsy shop. Witchy Stitcher. And I worked on this in July and finished it in July. My husband and I saw this when we were dating, the first movie. And I made it into an anniversary piece and put our names in the year down at the bottom. It was our 33rd anniversary last year. So I worked on that and finished that one. That was fun. Not my usual colors that I work on. Oh, it was on 18 count black Ada, because I really like 18 count black Ada when I have to do something on black, because it's a lot easier to see the holes. This is Summertime, I think, by Stitchrovia. This is the one I worked on in August. I really enjoyed it, loved the colors. It was fun to work on in the middle of the hot summer. Finished that one. This is Autumn. I'll put a list of all of these below. This was I think this is 32 count white even weave. And I think I was using 2 strands over 2. I'll put that in the description box. This is Autumn Garden by Drawn Thread. And I can't remember the name of this fabric, but it's 40 count by Silkweaver. And I'll put that in the description box. Worked on this in October, I believe. Finished it like the first week of November. It has a lot of specialty stitches in it for these flowers. Those were a lot of fun to do. And I used the called for silks on this one, that the pattern called for. And then in December, I worked on Let It Snow, which is also by Stitchrovia, I believe. This is also 40 count fabric by Silkweaver. I can't remember the name of it either, but I'll put it in the description box. It was the called for DMC, one strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. I loved the bright colors of all those houses and the cute little skaters. It was a lot of white to stitch, a lot of white stitches that got a little boring, but it was fun to stitch in December. So those are all the ones I finished from the ones I started. Now I have a few that I have not finished that will continue into the Maynia 2020 plans because they are not finished yet. So there will be a Stitcher shelf, will be one. Let's turn the page. This is Arcade by Long Dog Samplers. It is on Picture This Plus 40 count conifer. And I'm using Silks for You silk, a hank of Silks for You silk. That is where it is so far. I worked on this one. This was the piece that was assigned to June last year, or this year. And it is beautiful. No, last year. June last year. I'm really liking how it doesn't show up very well on camera, but these beautiful fall colors are looking really cool on this dark green fabric. I know you're probably looking at it and thinking, that is a very weird color combination, but I love it. I love how it's turning out. It reminds me of a really dark green, a dense forest where it's really dark inside, and you're kind of looking in and you can just see the sun kind of dappling in a few places in the fall, very fall colors. So that will be Maynia 2020 number 2. Sleeping Princess was a new start in 2019. So was Arcade. This is a Mirabilia. It's the Princess and the Pea. I think I said last time I showed it to you, I called it Rapunzel. Oh my goodness. It's Princess and the Pea, but it's called Sleeping Princess. Or at least I think it's Princess and the Pea by Mirabilia. This was a new start last year for Maynia. And it will continue on this year. This will be number 3. And this is where I am so far. It's on 32 count Water Lily. Her head and arm are up here. And then this is her nightgown, I think. Or else a blanket that's wrapped around her, I'm not sure. And then these are some of the bedclothes hanging down. Loving that one. And then Patchwork Sampler was a new start last year from Maynia, which is not finished yet. So it will continue on. By Jan Houtman. And I decided to use all of my leftover overdyed silk flosses on this piece. So it's really a patchwork sampler where I'm just, as I get to each new motif, I just get out my bag of leftover silks and pick one that I think will look good in the next spot. And this is where that is so far. And it will continue on in Maynia 2020. Sky Blue Street was also a new start last year that is not finished yet. It is by Soda Stitch out of South Korea. It will look like this when it's finished. I love the bright colors in it. And I think the street scene is just so cute. All the different shops. I am right here. I started right here in the middle on this little side street that goes back, and then I've moved over into this dress shop. It is the called for DMC 1/2 on 36 count. very long, narrow piece. And this is what it's looking like so far. Loving that. Has a lot of white space in it, so I feel like it should be going faster than it is because it... There's the dress shop. I haven't put any dresses in yet. It's also tricky to count because it has so much white space, but beautiful piece. Keep working on that. That will continue on as a Maynia 2020 piece. Day and night. Where is that? I know I got it out. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. This was a new start last year, Maynia 2019. Long Dog Samplers, Day and Night. It is on 40 count. Picture this plus, it feels like, and I can't, oh, right here. Valor, picture this plus Valor. This is what it looks like so far. Really enjoying, I love Long Dog Samplers pieces. Really enjoying this. Top part of the church. Part of that wonderful border that has all those cute little houses in it. And a windmill down there at the bottom. So that will, this is the called for DMC threads, 1 over 2. That one will continue on in Maynia 2020. Itchy nose. It's not a runny nose, it's an itchy nose, right? And then I have 2 that I think will be done by the end of the month. Harvest Time. Is that this bag? Yes. This is Harvest Time by Praiseworthy. I am just doing this top one right here. And this one is on 40 count Silkweaver Grassy Plains. And I really think this will be done by the end of the month. We'll open up a slot for Maynia 2020. Love this little man and his hay cart and pumpkins. I'm enjoying that one. I love all those fall colors on this green fabric. So I think, as I said, I will be able to finish that, and it will not be in Maynia 2020. And then Utopia, which was my birthday start. My birthday is just a couple of days before Maynia starts, so I usually pick one of my Maynia pieces and start it early as a birthday present for me on my birthday. And this was the one I started last year on my birthday. I'm also doing this as a stitch along with a couple of people. Diana is one of them. And, oh, let's see. Let's show you the finished picture first. Looks like this. It's by Camille Colget Camps. Name is right there. In France. Has cute little houses in the trunk and in the tree limbs. And some little bird on a swing right here and right here, I think. So cute. I love this pattern. It is on 40 count Silkweaver Autumn Field. And this is what it's looking like so far. And unless something crazy happened, this will be done by the end of the month. I just have this part down here to do. Love those little houses in the tree. Makes me think of my wee village, which we've had a cold snap this week. It was like winter again. highs in the 30s for a couple days, low 40s. As soon as it warms up a little bit again, so at least we're in the 50s and 60s, I think it's time to go out and get my wee village ready for spring. Get it cleaned up. And yes, we never did finish the water feature last year. If you go back to my summer videos last year, you'll see videos of it, me working on it. That will be my goal this year, to finish up the water feature. So I'm pretty sure Utopia will be finished, so it will not continue on into Maynia 2020 plans. All right, so I'll have, continuing on from Maynia 2020, I'll have Arcade, Sleeping Princess, Stitcher Shelf, Patchwork Sampler, Sky Blue Street, Day and Night, and not Harvest Time and not Utopia. So then I chose 4 more whips that were languishing that I wanted to include in Maynia 2020 this year. I chose French alphabet, but which is not really called that. I just call it that. Abecedare Berthe DuPont. You can still buy this pattern. I'll put a link to the French website in the description box below. This is what it will look like when it's finished. I did change out, it's DMC, I did change out several colors. These greens were a very brown green, so I changed them out. And let's see, what else did I change? This taupe color right here on these flowers, I didn't really want this flower to be this tan, gray tan color, so I added 676. It's a little bit lighter yellow than this darker yellow here. So anytime that color is used in the flowers, like right here and right here, I'll use 676. But when it's used in a bird or in this house right here, I'll leave it that taupe color. And then these brownie taupe colors, these 2 colors, I also changed those to 2 different colors that I liked better that went with the rest of the colors. So that is all in the description box below if you want to know what colors I ended up using. My daughter Catherine worked on this border for me, as you recall. I've talked about it several times. I did like this much of the border and then was totally sick of it, so she finished the rest of the border for me all the way around and then left like this much right here for me to finish up and do. And it met, because she's such an amazing stitcher. But here's where it is. I'm working on that house. Finished the alphabet. Working on the house right there next to the bird. Here's that flower that I changed to 676. Beautiful piece. But it's been languishing. It is my oldest whip. I think I started it in 2010, if I remember right. Yep, October of 2010. This is my magnet board where I keep track of all of my whips. I've shown it to you before, but not for a while. These down here are finished projects. They're magnets that I reuse, so I just cross them out, put new stickers on them, and when I reuse them, I'll put a new sticker on them, and they're down here at the bottom. Sorry, I'm trying to move the glare there. So these are not whips. These 3 are in Craft Prism, but I have a plan this summer of how to get them out of craft, at least 2 of them out. And then the rest of them are whips that I move around as I'm making different plans. But I wrote on each magnet when I started it. I thought it was a great place to, when I need a quick reference of how long have I been working on that? Sometimes I rearrange them by age to see what my oldest whip is. Sometimes I move them around and rearrange them by these ones. I don't know if you can tell that are colored blue. That means they were part of a Maynia. Sometimes I'll move them around. I'll move them around to decide what my rotation is this month. I just have fun moving them around. And this is just a metal. It's cardboard on the back and metal on the front. that I bought at Walmart in the office school supplies section. It's just like a metal magnet board, I guess, made for magnets. And these, you can buy strip magnets that come in a little roll. It's a long strip of magnet, and I just cut it with scissors. Or I have also, there's thinner ones, you probably can't tell, where I bought the kind that look like a business card size magnet. You can buy a little pack of those, and I just cut them with scissors to make them a little strip. And then I have these little dot magnets. You buy them in a package just like that as a little dot. Magnet on the back. I use those for, the magnet is supposed to kind of be how big the project is. Like, if it's a tiny project, then it just gets a little circle magnet. If it's a huge project like this, it gets a really long one. What is that? Mini Four Seasons. That got a huge one. Day and Night, Sleeping Princess, Patchwork Sampler. Those are large projects, so they got a bigger magnet. Sometimes I'll even put a little, what do you call that? I'll draw a little strip across the top and divide it into little squares. Like if like Hawk Run Hollow, where it has 12 squares on it. Sometimes I'll draw a little strip and divide it into little 12 squares and color them in as I finish each section. Sorry, off on a tangent on the magnet board. So, Abecedare Berthe DuPont, 1913, I think, is my oldest whip at the moment. Sort of, if you don't count counted canvas piece. Kurumi, which you saw in my whip parade at the beginning of the year. So I decided it was high time to get this finished and include it in my Maynia 2020 plans. So if it's in the Maynia 2020 plans, that means we're really trying hard to get it done by May of 2021. I think my next oldest whip, which I am including in Maynia, is American Sampler by Sandy Orton. It has been published in several different places. My copy of the pattern was in this Cross Stitch and Needlework magazine from March 2011. It's also available on the, I just lost the name of it. Same place all the Christmas stockings I've been telling you about forever. It starts with a K. It'll come to me in a minute. I'll put it in the description box below. Cooler Design Studio. It's also available at the Cooler Design Studio website. You can buy just this pattern. It's Kooler by Sandy Orton. This is what it looks like. It has a lot of specialty stitches in it. This man and this woman are over 1. So are these angels. They're over 1. This whole green background is a rice stitch. The background behind these letters are over 1, and then the background behind is a running stitch that just goes back and forth. This heart is a satin stitch. All of these flowers are queen stitches. There's not a lot of the house. Parts of the house are over 1 and parts of the house are cross stitch over 2. These pillars are regular cross stitch. There's not a lot of regular cross stitch on this pattern, but it is gorgeous. And I saw a version of it, let's see if I have a picture here, on the internet that was done on green fabric. And I loved it. So I started mine on 40 count pear, but my pear was not as green as I wanted it to be, but I think it's still beautiful. So this is where I am so far. And I would love to, this is from, I started this in 2012. So it's high time this got some focus and finished it. So that will be one of my whips as part of my Maynia plans. I guess I didn't explain that. The way I do Maynia is I have as many projects as the year. So this year I'll have 20 projects. In 2018 I had 18, and in 2019 I had 19. And then I start one or work on one, whether it's a whip or a new start, every day for the first 20 days in May. This year will be the first 20 days. So I'll work on each project just as much time as I have stitching that day that I started on. And if I started it on a certain day, if the 6 that I have left from last year's Maynia, I'm going to work on them the same day that I started them last year. I kept track of which day in May I started those. So there's already assigned to whatever day they got started. And then the rest of the days I'll fill in with the whips that I've decided on and the new starts that I've decided on. And then after the 20th of May, I just start over with the first one again, and so that they all get one more day. Into June, sometimes I run out of steam by the time I get into the first week of June and I stop doing it. But every year I think, no, I'm going to, every one of them is going to get one more day. So they each at least get 2 days. Oh, and then my other, besides the 6 that are going to carry over from 2019, I just chose 4 more whips to add to 2020 plans. And then that will leave me 10 new starts, slots for new starts. So the other 2 whips were ones that I just started last year. They weren't part of Maynia, they were just ones that I started later in the year last year. This one is Praiseworthy Stitches Churchyard Christmas. I love these pieces. Love Praiseworthy Stitches. This is what it looks like when it will be finished. It has a nativity right here in the middle. I love that. It's DMC. I'm doing it on 40 count something. Why didn't I write it on here? Well, it will be in the description box below because I can't remember what it is. But I do have it written down in my other book. Oh, right there, Mirage, 32 count, not 40 count. This one is on 32 count Mirage by Picture This Plus. And here's where I am so far. I started this last November after seeing Rika of House of Stitch and Stash working on it. I just think it's gorgeous. So that will be a whip in my 2020 plans. And I'm planning on working on this one during December. Either November or December. As kind of I usually have a focus piece for each month that is part of the season. So that one is either going to be November, probably November. But I'll keep working on it through December too. And I might work on it beforehand, like in July when we all feel like working on a Christmas piece, I may pull it out. And my last whip that I'm including in Maynia 2020 is Bumpin' Denight Farm, also by Praiseworthy Stitches. And I started this in October at Stitch West Retreat. I saw Rika of House of Stitch and Stash working on a similar one. She's working on Widow B&B. Oh, so pretty. So I decided to do this one. And I will work on this during October this year, for sure. Other times during the year, but it'll be my focus piece in October. It's got a whole bunch, a whole bunch of little trick-or-treaters that are all dressed up in different costumes. Called for DMC on 40 count Creek Stone, which I think is also Silkweaver. And this is what I have so far. Working on the barn. There's 2 little trick-or-treaters right there. Can't wait to get back to this one. Oh, sorry, not DMC. Using the called for Gentle Arts and Weeks Dye Works that the pattern called for. Same on Churchyard Christmas. It also calls for Gentle Arts and Weeks Dye Works. I'm using the called for threads on those two. Sorry, I led you astray. Again. Okay, so that's all the whips for 2020. So now I have a spot for 10 new starts, which I'm trying to keep smaller this year because I started so many big things last year. And if I finish, I have 9 picked out, kitted up, ready to go. But now that we are home during this pandemic, I have a lot more time to stitch. So I realized I was going to be able to finish harvest time before. So now I have another, I have one more empty open slot that I haven't decided on yet. But I'll show you the 9. I'm going to do this Mill Hill little kit to make the gingerbread house ornament. I think it's so cute. I've not done a Mill Hill kit before for an ornament. Comes with everything you need. And that will be my December piece. I'll work on that in December. And I don't think it will take very long, so for the rest of December I'll work on Churchyard Christmas. This is May I by All Through the Night. May I a small house in a large garden have. I saw this stitched, the model, at Keepsakes in Ohio when I was there last June. Gorgeous. I purchased it there and decided I needed to stitch it. Using the I pulled the called for threads. It calls for Gentle Arts threads. Some of them I had, some of them I didn't have. So just looking at the picture, I used what I had on hand. I had a very generous friend. I showed you the boxes. My friend Robin sent me, was getting rid of all of her overdyed cotton and sent it all to me. So I have a fabulous amount on hand right now. So I just pulled what I had on hand and found a color that was very close to what I thought the picture looked like because it's the picture that I love. And I will be doing it on black 18 count Aida because I love, if I have to do it on black, I love 18 count Aida. So much easier to see. These are the colors that I pulled to work on it. Sometimes I even had the called for color, but it didn't look anything like the color in the picture, so I chose a different color that looked more like what was in the picture. Because with overdyed cotton, some dye lots are just completely different than what the model stitcher used. I will be doing Tomato Season by Not Forgotten Farms. If I can get this thread out of the way. We grow tomatoes every summer. Love homegrown tomatoes. So when I saw this, I thought, yep, need to stitch that. The reds in it are the 920 range, which is a very orangey, coppery red. So I'm going to be doing that big tomato in this Gloriana Schoolhouse Red. Because I had my husband choose it. He thought it looked like a tomato color. And then for the other 3 reds that were all in that 918, 919, 920 range, I'm going to use a 350, 349, and 817 as the other 3 colors of red to go with this Schoolhouse Red. See if we can back up a little so you can kind of see. Otherwise, I use the called for DMC. Oh, I had a viewer ask me, she said, I noticed in some of your pieces that you use some cotton, some silk, like all mixed up in the same piece. She asked if I had any, if I had noticed any, if I had any concerns or if I had noticed anything about when I do that. And I would have never thought to do that until I had taken a couple of classes through the EGA Guild and realized that a lot of the kits that we got from these gorgeous projects with all kinds of specialty stitches, Peaceable Kingdom, she designed that using part cotton and part silk, just whatever colors looked good, or I'm not sure how she chose that, but I realized after working on that, oh, it does not matter if you mix up cotton and silk. These big master teachers at EGA do it. I haven't noticed any problems putting them next to each other. You know, I don't notice that one picks up fiber off the other one when they're stitching right next to each other or anything. You really can't tell it's hard to tell unless you're really an expert looking at a picture whether it was stitched in silk or cotton until you touch it. If you can touch it, you can tell right away because silk is so much smoother and silkier and cotton is much rougher. But I decided since then that it doesn't matter to me. I intermix them. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to wash it if you're using fibers that are not color fast. But I don't wash any of my projects unless they get something really dirty on them. So that wasn't a concern for me. So far I haven't seen a problem with it or noticed any problems with it. I decided from now on, if that's the color that I have on hand and it works well, then I'm just going to, it doesn't matter to me whether I mix cotton and silk together. But that was a very good question because I never would have thought of doing it before I saw these classes doing it. This next one was a gift from my good friend Glow in Spain. She had finished with it and offered to send it to me. I'm going to do this. It's by the Bay Needle Art and it's called Sunshine. I'm going to do it on brown fabric, this version, and I'm going to see if I can find a charm. The charm says "You are my sunshine." Pretty sure I'll be able to find a charm that says that on it. I think you can still buy those. And I will be doing it on 28 count natural light linen. Because I like that brown behind. Well, I'll leave them in here. These are the colors. It has some, looks like she's done, I don't know if you can see it very well. Looks like there are French knots in this center, and I'm not sure what else. I'll have to look at it. It will be fun because it gives that sunflower some texture in the middle where the seeds are and they stick out. And I think I'm going to stitch it and make it into a pillow and give it to my daughter, Catherine. She loves sunflowers. She planted sunflowers in our yard when she was a young teenager. And they, of course, reseed themselves really well. So they keep coming up every year. I think of her every time they come up. I love them too. They are a very happy flower. And Catherine may put some stitches in on it too. We may do it as a group project. This one is called Taking It EC by Silver Creek Samplers. It says, "At the beach is where I find a place to let my soul unwind." And this is how I feel when I'm at Bear Lake. I am landlocked, Utah, not anywhere near the coast, but we have a beautiful lake that's part in Utah and part in Idaho that has a real sand beach because of the freshwater tiny shell creature that lives at it's a very deep, deep lake, and it has these little shell creatures that live in the bottom. And when they break up, it makes a sandy beach. So I grew up there, my kids have grown up there making sandcastles. That's how I feel when I'm at the beach. I also saw this as a model at Keepsakes in June when I was there in Cincinnati. Gorgeous. Decided when I saw it I have to stitch that. She didn't have the pattern right there that day that I was there, but it was on order. It was supposed to be coming the next week. So the next week my friend was there and knew I wanted it, and she picked it up for me and gave it to me as a gift. It was so sweet of her. I'm going to try it on this 32 count antique ivory Belfast linen and see if the colors look okay on it. It calls for gentle arts, some gentle arts and some weak dye works. And I pulled some of them that I pulled that it did call for were not the right color, and some of them I didn't have. So again, I went through everything that I had on hand and pulled colors that I thought matched the picture on the front, because I thought those colors looked beautiful. This fabric has just a tiny bit of a pink tinge to it. So I'm going to see how the colors look on it. I think it will be good. I have been wanting to do a Cricut collection word, where she has the words spelled out and then each letter has all the little different things on it, forever. So I have finally decided to do spring. That will be the first one I do. Cricut collection spring. And I've decided to do it on 32 count water lily. It's a very minty green. It doesn't show up on camera very well how green it is, but it is green. Do I have a white piece of paper maybe? Let's see if that will help. Anyway, it's a beautiful light minty green color. It's the same thing that I'm doing Sleeping Princess on. It is a pretty, pretty green. It looks, to me, I don't know what you're seeing, but to me this looks more gray than it is. But that's what I'm going to do this on. I'm using the called for DMC colors. I had most of them. I had to order just a few from 123 Stitch, and my order did come. It took about 2 weeks. They are just so overloaded with orders right now, but it did come. This was originally a freebie from Little House Needleworks. They had miniature game boards. They had several. This one's called Hometown. It's like a checkerboard in the middle and then has 2 houses and a flag. And then the exact same down here, just upside down. Later, Little House Needleworks put a whole bunch of their freebies together in a chart with a couple that had not been released yet. And you could purchase that. I've seen pictures of that on Pinterest and stuff, but I can't find it anywhere to buy. I haven't looked lately, but this was just a freebie that I got from a store, from a needlework store in, gosh, like 2008. And it wasn't a great copy. I'm having a really hard time. I'll have to do some detective work to figure out what some of the symbols are and the colors, but I think I can figure it out. But I haven't been able to find it anywhere. I don't know that it is still available to find. If any of you know where I could purchase this pattern, I would love to purchase a pattern of it. But right now, this is the only copy that I have. And I'm going to do it on this 25 count bone Lugana. Because I want it to be, and now I can't remember. I saw it, on 14 count, okay. I saw it at Keepsakes as well when I was there in June. They had a model stitched and they had put it on top of a half-sized DMC box. Sorry, not DMC, a half-size bobbin box like this. And it was the perfect size almost to fit. So they had finished it around a piece of cardboard and then glued it to the top of a box. And I thought it was so cute on there. And I thought, I have had that freebie pattern for 100 years. I should get it done. So I did the size measurements, and if I did it correctly, don't count on me. As you know, you need to figure it out yourself. But I think if I figured it out, if I do it on 14 count fabric, it will be about the right size. So I'm doing it on this 22/2 on this 25 count, which I realize is not 28 count. But when I did the math, I think it will be an okay size to fit on the top of the box. And I am using this pack of Classic Colorworks. That was a conversion that Jan at Tree of Life Samplings put together at a retreat I was at to go with this freebie in like 2008, something like that. So these are Classic Colorworks, her conversion of Classic Colorworks. At the time they were called Crescent Colors. They are now Classic Colorworks. But she put this together to go with this freebie. I will list what colors they are in the description box below. And I would like to finish it the same way. I will finish it, glue it around the correct piece of cardboard, and then glue it to the top of a bobbin box, a half-size bobbin box. And I'm going to work on it in July because it has a flag on it and it looks like patriotic. And then this is the kit that I ordered from Al Forest Embroidery in Russia. It took about 2 weeks to come when I ordered it. I ordered it right off their website. I just clicked on the little, when you go to a foreign website, there's a little box that Google brings up that says, do you want me to translate this? And I say yes. So it translates the site for you. So I purchased this kit from them using my PayPal account. And it automatically converts their money to your money when you pay for it. And then I saw, when I was at Stitch West retreat in October, I saw Leslie Lafleur under the Sea Fabrics was working on it, on a piece of one of her fabrics that she dyed. And it is it's a light peach color. And I chose the opalescent version. It's got a sparkle to it. Not sure if you can see the sparkle. Anyway, it is the color Anya, A-I-N-E. I wouldn't have known how to say it, but Leslie calls it Anya. And this is a 40 count. So I'll be doing it 1/2 on this 40 count. Gorgeous peach colored fabric. I told you a couple weeks ago that I couldn't remember, I didn't know what the translated, it's in Russian, but I didn't know. And I think several of you helped me out with that, and I believe it was monster whale. It goes along with a Russian fairy tale. And the kit comes with fabric. It's a very beautiful buttercream yellow color. Camera's washing it out. Which I will save for another project because it is a beautiful piece of fabric. And then it comes with the floss and a little cardboard floss bobbin for each one. Beautiful colors. I will be using this floss. And the kit also came with a little needle minder that has, it's a little boat with, and a needle, and a boat with a sail that's right off the pattern. That is in the pattern. Gorgeous chart. I'm just so impressed with their chart. They have a color version and a black and white version on these nice big pieces of paper. Actually, no, they're both color versions. One has it all as one big chart, and the other one has it divided up into sections if you wanted to stitch just part of it as a small. So I'm excited to start that. I've had that for several months. I bought it sometime last year. The little ship that's on the needle minder is this ship right here. And I can't decide, that may be the one I started early on my birthday. but I think it's going to be the last one. This will be my last. This is number 19, and as I said, I have to decide on what number 20 is because I'm pretty sure I'm going to finish harvest time. Maybe I'll wait until May to decide what that one is and do that one last, because sometimes I pick all of my Maynia pieces because I like to get them all ready to go ahead of time, and then we hit May and I see something that I just love and I wish I would have picked that as, so maybe I'll leave that slot open until mid-May and decide maybe like by May 15th what I want. I'll probably choose something out of my stash, what I want that piece to be. I'm tempted, I have several huge ones that I want to start so bad, but I'm trying really hard to keep these ones smaller this year so that so I get more of the bigger ones done. So the last one is Hoity Toity, which I told you about earlier when I bought it. I wasn't going to do this one, and I wasn't going to do this one, and I've seen it a million times and just kept saying, no, I'm not going to do that one because the border will kill me off. Because the border's a little repetitive and it's very intense. A lot like the French alphabet one, Abecedere Berthe Dupont. But oh, I kept seeing it and kept seeing it and kept seeing people's partially stitched pictures, and oh, it is so pretty. I couldn't stand it anymore, so I'm going to have to start it. One of my daughters, probably Catherine, may be helping me with this border, but maybe not. Maybe I'll be able to do it. It isn't, this side is not as repetitive, but this side is the exact same as this side, and then this is the same all across, and then this half of the pattern is exactly a mirror image of this half, so there is a lot of repetition. But it's so pretty, it's worth it. And I think this is the one I'm going to start early on my birthday. And then, as I told you, I had been holding off, and I wasn't going to start it, and then I saw that Mrs. Seda Silks had a silk conversion for this project. She had done a silk conversion of her own threads. And that's, I think, what finally pushed me over the edge. Then I thought, okay, I need to do that one. Should have pulled these out so you could see them better. And her colors that she has picked for this are so pretty. There's another of the orange. Here's the rest. They're just so gorgeous. This, oh, right here, this pink color, I'm not sure if I'm going to use this one. I may replace this pink color with this red, which is Gloriana Crimson. I like how it looks with the rest of the colors, that red. So make it more fall colors. So I'll try it out and see what I'll start with the red and see what it looks like stitched. So I may do that. Mrs. Sedas. Mrs. S-E-D-A-S. Mrs. Sedas is in Spain. And I ordered them from her Etsy shop. And they came. It took about 2 weeks, I think, but then they came. I ordered it several months ago, a couple months ago. And then the fabric I chose to do that one on is Lakeside Vintage Lentil 40 count. It's a lovely neutral color. I'll do it 1/2, sorry, 1/2 on 40 count. So those are what I'm planning to do for Maynia 2020. I always try to get the fabric cut, because right now during April I'm motivated because I'm excited for Maynia. So it gives me the motivation to get it out, get the fabric cut for each one. I'll mark the middle of the fabric if I'm starting in the middle, or I'll mark the 3 inches in and 3 inches in, or whatever your border is that you've cut the fabric, and mark where to start there. I'll make sure all the floss is in its, however I'm going to organize it, whether it's going to be in little baggies on a ring or whether it's going to be bobbinated in a box, which I do for when there's lots of colors. And I always use a working copy of the pattern folded up to the part I'm working on, and I use the needle minder to stick it right next to where I'm stitching. So I'll get figure out where I'm going to start it, get that first page photocopied so that working copy is ready to go. I do absolutely everything I can think of. I put a needle in, I choose a needle minder to go with it, so that the day that I start it for Maynia, literally all I have to do is open it up and make that first stitch, so that I have as much time as possible on the day in May when I start it to actually stitch on it and not spend half my time actually doing the last bit of organizing. So those are my plans. I'll start hoity-toity, I think, on my birthday, and then I will start on May 1st, as I explained. I hope you're all having a fabulous day. It's a beautiful day here, but not sunny. It's overcast, and I think we're supposed to have rain today and tomorrow. But after that, I think it's going to warm up a little bit. And I hope you're all having I hope you have some lovely stitching time today. And I'll make a video either today or later this week with just my regular WIP progress. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.